pit lane.
Straight here?
Yep. And just like I did, when you get down there, hug the wall, turn real tight, real late. And we'll take a peek up the straightaway, make sure nobody's coming. In your first lap, you want it to be a nice warm-up lap, a little conservative, just braking a little early, a little over-slowing the corners, just getting the car where you want it. And we're clear. If you want to get the car online, get as close to those track out and apex cones, right through the middle of the gates, off the throttle, going to the brakes, braking all the way through here. It's kind of a light brake back and forth all the way to here, off the brake. And then from this gate, then you can start squeezing on the throttle. And then a brush of the brakes here, bend it in, trailing off the brakes, squeezing on the throttle. And brake, look in, turn in, trailing. You want to go real slow, pulling your foot off the brake pedal. That'll help it turn in and get all the way down to the apex. Brake. And it'll also get you set up for the exit of the second apex. So at the 5 marker, your first lap, we go into the brakes and brake, and stick with that brake application. As you turn it in, stick with it, and then trailing off, and now going back to a little power. And then brake, look into the corner, turn it in, trail off nice and slowly, be real patient with the throttle here. And then when you start unwinding your hands, that's when you can really put the throttle down. And brake, look into the corner, bend it in, and then trailing off the brakes, squeezing on the throttle, fading to the left side of the road. And brake. So this is where you'll be real slow turning in at the gate, just slow turning it in. That way you end up right on the back side of that curving. Very good. Squeezing on the throttle, accelerating a little bit, and then trailing off the throttle, apexing, and then a light brake all the way through here. Get yourself lined up, and then at this gate, then squeezing on the throttle to the exit. And then a brush of the brake, turn it in, trailing off, squeezing on the throttle. And brake, look into the corner, trailing off the brakes. Probably want to brake just a hair sooner or harder at that corner. And brake, bend it in, be patient on the throttle, now accelerating. And brake, there you go, look into the corner, find that apex, still with the brake, 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 now trailing off. And back to a little bit of power. And brake, look into the corner, bend it in, trailing off, and back to power. At the 3 marker, going to the brakes, and brake, look into the corner, trailing off the brakes, now back to power. This time about the 2.5 marker, and brake. Same thing again, looking into the corner as you're trailing slowly off the brakes, tight around the back side, off the brake, squeezing on the throttle, and then trailing off the throttle, and then a light brake through here. And then squeezing on the throttle, and a brush of the brake, trailing off, squeezing on the throttle. And here, remember, a harder brake, 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 brake. There you go, bend it in. And then that way we got all the way down to the apex. Now back to power. Go real slow right through here just to build a gap, because then they're going to continue on, and this is our last time through. So no sense on passing them and then slowing them down as we exit. Go ahead. So when we get down there, going to the brakes, and then as you turn it in, make sure you get down to that apex at the first one, then off the brakes. And brake. There you go. Trail back just a tad. There you go, down to that apex. Now trail off. And then here we're just going to be off power and go through those 2 tall cones into pit lane. Good job.
Nice.
Pretty
Thanks.
fast. It's one of the biggest things that you can do to go fast is smooth out the brake release, and then that keeps the chassis settled and more stable into the corner. And with that slow brake release, it keeps some pressure on the front tires, helping it turn into the corner down to that first apex. And most of those are basically chicanes in which you trail the brakes down to the first apex and then off, and then you don't get to go to power until about the second apex, and then that's where you can really start to squeeze on the power. If you compromise the first half and really turn tight and start out way wide of the second apex, then you can turn real tight back to the right and be on power a little early, but that's nitpicking a little bit. As we pull up here, we'll put it in park and then leave the engine running.